Planning a Disney trip can feel overwhelming. There's parks, there's hotels, there's days off, so much to consider. Where do you even start? Today we're walking you through what a beginner should consider planning their first Disney trip.
Hey everybody, welcome to Window on Main. I'm Josh.
I'm Reilly.
And today's episode, kind of like the intro said, we're going to talk about kind of like a beginner's guide to planning a Disney trip or a Disney vacation. Specifically to Walt Disney World, which is what we're most familiar with.
But you could apply the same basic standards if you went to Disneyland.
Sure, just the mechanisms are a little bit different, but with a little bit of research, you can figure it out pretty easy.
That's right. There are a lot of facets, and so this can kind of help you categorize and also create a timeline of like what to consider when, because there's a right order. There's probably a wrong order to do things too, but there's an order that you should go in that would make things a little more efficient.
Yeah, it's kind of over the multiple trips that we've been able to do. We've kind of developed a system. Well, I say Reilly's developed a system that kind of makes it an easy way, makes trips easy to plan, makes trips quick to plan, makes them efficient. Efficient is probably the best word for it. So, kind of walk you through the way that we do it whenever we're thinking about planning a trip.
Before we do that, though, I did want to mention, do you smell what we're burning?
No.
This is a new scent to us. We call it's Wild Thunder Railroad from Magic Candle Company in honor of Big Thunder, which just announced that its opening date is May 3rd.
I think that's right, May 3rd, yeah.
Which Josh and Isla will be there for before
yeah.
then. So I'm hoping they get like a little preview.
We'll see. We might get on there. Yeah, we leave. So by the time you see this, we'll probably already be there. So maybe. Or we'll be back. I'm not sure when this will air. But
I think you will be there when this airs.
Yeah, but right now it's Sunday, and Reilly and I leave for our trip on Tuesday. So we're really close to a Disney trip for she and I.
Right. So look out for some vlogs very soon.
And both our kids, we'll see if we even ride Big Thunder because they're both scared of them because of the possums. For some reason, they both dialed in on possums.
It's been like a year and a half.
We rode it. They're scared of them hissing at them. So we haven't ridden it in a while. But
maybe they didn't keep the possums.
Yeah, maybe not.
Maybe those little scary guys went away. We'll see. Stay tuned.
So yeah, Big Thunder Mountain opening soon. May is going to be huge for openings at
Oh my goodness,
Disney
there's
World.
so many. There's so many things in like all the parks.
Rock and Roller Coaster featuring the Muppets opens the 26th.
Yep, the Animation Courtyard. Is that what they're calling it?
That's right. Opens the 26th.
Yep.
Yeah, so all kinds of
Soaring
exciting
over
things.
America, across America,
Right.
something America in honor of the 250th in Soarin'. That will be there.
Which we'll do an episode about our favorite rides, but Soarin' is one of my all-time favorites, so I'm very, very excited for that.
Me too.
And I'm one of the few, I think I am in the minority of most big-time Disney fans that I actually prefer Soarin' Across the World over California, which you can catch sometimes in Walt Disney World, but we got to do it in Disneyland too. But I'm one of the weird ones, I guess. I prefer Soarin' over the world, so.
I think I do too. I don't know.
But yeah, so that's a lot of exciting things to look forward to.
That's right.
We can talk a little bit about this. We'll go into individual trips, but we've got multiple trips on the books right now.
We do.
We kind of are on a spree.
Oh darn.
Because of my job, we plan things it forces us to plan at least 6-7 months in advance.
Try to plan.
We try. Sometimes, if we're going to do a trip that's longer than a long weekend, we usually have it on the books more than.
And like the
6 months
kids'
in
spring
advance.
breaks, fall breaks.
Right.
Those we can plan like more than a year in advance most of the time.
Yeah.
So we kind of have an idea of where we want to go for those, if we want to go somewhere.
Yeah.
But the ones in between. Anyway, but speaking of that, the first step for planning a Disney trip is decide when you want to go.
Right.
So your dates. That's literally step number 1.
Yeah.
So know what works best for you. Kind of like in our last video, we talked about knowing your priorities, whether it's, if you want, I want the best weather, or I want the lowest crowds, or I want the cheapest prices, or I really just want to see Santa Claus.
Yeah, we can link that, our last video, which talked about the best time to go to Disney World, but the moral of the story is just go when you're able to go.
That's right.
And if you're able to go whenever, then do a little bit of research. We talked about it in that last video about some things that you might be interested in seeing and doing, and find a time that works then. But yeah, choosing when to go sounds like a silly thing, but sometimes not the easiest thing in the world.
Sometimes it's not. And honestly, sometimes when you move your trip just around 2 weeks, it could cost $800 more
Absolutely.
or $800 less. So when you go actually does matter.
I mean, for instance, we were looking at trips we are doing some Run Disney things, at least that's planned for next year. And I mean, January, February is typically people will say, oh, that's a really cheap time to go. But if you're there on a Run Disney weekend, it is not. It is one of the higher priced because there's a lot of people there.
Right.
And so, I mean, you'll hit little bubbles, but try to be flexible, pick a general time, or, I mean, nail down your dates. I think choosing when to go, part of choosing when to go that's important is choosing how long to go.
Yes.
And that sounds, a lot of it is budgetary. I mean, you can say, well, I can go this long versus if I stay here, I can go a little bit longer. I would say earlier on there, when we first started going to Disney World, it was how long can we stay? Yeah. That's what we want to do. We want to stay as long as we possibly can. Now, I think we're still at the same camp. We want us to spend a good amount of time, but it's more important that we accomplish the things that we're most interested in that trip. So
we have like pillars in our
trip that we want to do. And so if we want to do something that, say, I guess comes across as it's very expensive, we may say, well, we're going to cut the trip 1 day shorter. We have a little bit of I don't know if advantage is the right word. We have annual passes, so ticket pricing is not typically an issue for us. Correct. But because we purchased the annual pass, but I think I'm trying to think of the final sentence I say. I think it's the longer you stay, the less you pay per day.
Yes.
So I mean, initially, if you go for 1 day, you're going to pay really $200 a ticket. But by the time you're on your 7th, 8th day, I think it's something around like $30, $40 a day. By the time you get that far out, so you can get. It's not just a standard multiplier. The longer you stay, you get some cheaper days in there. Right. But when to go, how long to go. Yep. And kind of that leads us to Number two, which is a lot of that is determined by your budget. Yep. I think for coming from the dad and the family now, I'm not like the one who wears I'll never financially recover from this shirt or like this is like brokest day ever. That's silly in my opinion. Yep. If I get it, it's expensive,
most expensive day ever.
But it is what it is. Just enjoy your time there. You don't need to talk about how expensive it was, at least. Now,
something to consider, and I agree. I understand where those shirts come from, because sometimes you can think of when you're starting to plan, oh, I've got my ticket and my resort. That's my package, right? And so that's how much it costs. Right. But then you forget all the other things, like we didn't buy a dining plan. Oh no, we have to pay for food. And guess what? When you buy food, there's gratuity. Right. And we don't want to stand in these lines. And so there's lightning lanes. And, my kids are going to want souvenirs. Right. We should probably do that. And so, and how are we going to get there? Are we going to drive? Is that gas money? Is that mileage on my car? Or are we going to fly? So there's all these extra things to consider. When you're building your budget, count those in. Yeah. Like, put it in the beginning. That way, later on, it's not like, oh no, I'm spending so much money that I didn't plan on or we didn't account for, because that's where it can get overwhelming and frustrating.
And I would say, if it were me, I would plan, this sounds like a crazy thing to do, but plan your vacation as if it were going to be 1 full day longer than you're actually staying. If you're paying for a whole nother night of a hotel that you're not paying for, because there are so many little hidden. That's a big criticism of Disney lately, is that they nickel and dime you to death. I think if you're smart about it, you can avoid a lot of things like that. But there are. I was listening to another podcast where they talked about it, and I thought it was very real of her. She's like, I had my budget all lined out. I was ready to go, and I wasn't going to do lightning lanes. And then I got in the park, and it was hot, and there were a lot of people, and I said, you know what, I'm doing lightning lanes today. And so she's like, and so I spent $150 over the course of my trip I didn't budget for. And so there, things like that will come up. The one thing I think that surprised us, I mean, we can do a whole episode about budgeting if you want. We had some tips for, at least when we first started staying, we didn't have annual passes. We did a lot of saving, a lot of planning, and a lot of trying to maximize things. So we have some tips for that. But one thing I will mention that kind of slipped us, we weren't surprised, but it was a kind of a last minute, like, oh yeah, we have to account for that. If you're on the dining plan, which is just now coming back, the dining plan is fantastic. There are a lot of videos that are going to say you're not ever going to spend the amount of money that it costs, sure, but it's a convenience factor of if you've got that person in your family who's like, this is so expensive, we spent so much money, the dining plan takes off having to be reminded of that 3 times a day.
Yeah.
And so it's that's helpful. It's worth that. But one thing that a lot of people don't know, gratuity is not included on the dining plan. And for a family of 4, most of these meals,
especially character meals,
you're going to pay $250.
Right.
$200 to $250 a meal for a lot of them. And so, I mean, at 20%, you're looking at $40 to $50 every meal that you sit down.
Yeah.
And that's not a small amount. And so it's just worth planning
especially
for.
if you didn't account for it in the beginning.
Right.
Definitely.
But set your budget, give yourself some wiggle room. Things that we talk about, the ones you can figure out quick that are pretty straightforward. Resort tickets. For the most time, flights. If you plan as far ahead as us, that gives you a little time to kind of shop around, try and find some flights.
From what I've heard, the good window for flights is 6 months, 5 to 6 months. I don't know that to be 100% true. I do know it gets more expensive the closer you get. Those last minute flights are not fun.
Right, but there are like all kinds of apps that can help you find cheaper flights at certain times. And then there are airlines, if you're willing to be flexible, then there are airlines that are cheaper than others. Absolutely, too. They just have more limited dates. We've also driven.
We have.
Driving.
12 hours?
Yeah, 12 hours.
Yeah, a solid 12 hours.
Driving will save you a tremendous amount of money. But what we typically do, at least with our younger kids, is we would leave the night before and drive through the night to maximize our vacation. You don't have to do that. That's just what we did. And while we thought we were so smart, your whole first day is usually scrapped. Not only that, you're both tired because you didn't sleep well, or one of you was driving. And then the kids are perfectly fine because kids can sleep in the car. And so it's basically 2 tired parents sitting by the pool and kids burn off energy for the first day. For me, I know it's not an option for everyone, but with a drive like ours, I'm going to fly every chance that I can just because it makes the trip a little bit easier.
It does. And the one coming home.
Yeah.
Because you're tired. You're Disney tired at the end.
Right.
If you have a whole long week there. I mean, you are tired. And to drive for us 12 hours and then get home and unpack and get ready for the work week. That's a lot. You would need to plan a buffer in there to recover we would need to if you were going to drive. Which we have driven, and we're not opposed to it, but we try to fly whenever we can. Yep.
Souvenirs, something that you may have seen if you watch our travel vlogs. Used to, it was kind of just a free-for-all with our kids where we're like, yes, some days, no, sometimes. But something that we worked on is we let the kids kind of practice budgeting in our house where they would do chores and they would, rather than earn dollars, they earned dollars on a gift card that they could use on their trip to Disney. And so it worked really well. We kind of treated it as like a financial lesson. Also made them more conscious of what they were buying because I worked for this money.
Yep.
Maybe I don't waste it on 16 lollipops. Now they bought plenty of candy. But,
bags of candy.
But that was something that was helpful with souvenirs. Another great tip, if you got littles, is go to Target and buy the bubble wands. Buy the stuffed Mickey or the stuffed Stitch and put it in the suitcase. And whenever they want the souvenir that costs $50, $60 in the store, pull it out of the stroller and say, oh, look at this. And then they're happy as can be. And
Came from Mickey Mouse.
and it was tremendously cheaper. That's a great idea. I can't say we did that some, I think, but not a whole lot. But it's a great tip.
Yeah, it's a good tip. Well, so number 2 is set your budget, which will determine almost all the rest of the ones we're going to talk about. So that's why it's second in line.
Right.
The third on our beginner's guide to planning, choose where to stay. This is one of the most fun things to do, I think.
Yeah.
As a travel agent, it's fun to find out like a little bit about the families that I'm sending and what they like and what they don't like and what they're interested in, what their priorities are, because that's a whole other slew of priorities as to where you stay. But just in general, there are 3 categories of resorts on property at Disney. We've got value resorts, we've got the moderate resorts, and we've got the deluxe resorts. In addition to the deluxe resorts, there's also DVC, which is Disney Vacation Club, which has villas. So these have full kitchens in them, set up a little bit more like apartments than hotel rooms. But those are only at the deluxe resorts. So that's why I say in addition to.
And I guess Coronado Springs.
Oh,
They have like a couple tiny exceptions, but for the most part, deluxe resorts. Yeah.
But your budget will probably determine where you want to stay.
Absolutely. Will determine where you want to stay. Or at least how long you will stay there.
But you'll want to consider your priorities. So one of our big priorities is food. I know that sounds silly, but the deluxe resorts have at least 1, if not 2, full service restaurants on property. And they're always delicious. And so that's like a big draw for us.
Sure.
Some moderate resorts have them. Not all moderate resorts have a sit-down restaurant. And then no value resorts have a sit-down restaurant.
And not that you can go to these restaurants if you're not staying at the resort. Absolutely you can. Sometimes it's just nice to do it and then walk back to your hotel room when you're done.
Or, wake up and have breakfast right there instead of traveling for 40 minutes.
Yep.
So it's nice. But there's also the other option of staying off-site.
Yes.
While a lot of families choose to do that, you are at a disadvantage if you do. I mean, yes, the pricing is sometimes, all the time,
almost always
better.
Yeah.
You do lose that free Disney transportation, so you don't have access to Disney buses, the monorail, unless you go to the transportation ticket center, the boats, nothing like that. You don't have the free transportation. So if you do drive your car in, you're going to pay for parking every day that you're there, or you'll have to Uber in or Lyft in or whatever into the parks.
I mean, I may say it's something to be careful of. Not a lot of people that I follow that stay off site, perfectly good option. Just they will drive their own vehicles. I would be careful if you fly in and stay at an off-site hotel to rely on the shuttles to get you where you want to go. They will say that they have shuttles, but the shuttles are not always. It's not like a Disney bus where you got one coming every 20 minutes and going where you're wanting to go.
Right.
And so, man, I would almost say if you're saving the money by staying off site, rent a car. I mean, that's what I would recommend. That way you have more options. Now, the other thing that you then went back to budget is you're going to pay for parking. Where if you are staying off site, you're going to pay, my goodness, I don't even know what the rates are anymore. I would say $20 a day. At minimum, I would say $20 a day to park at the theme parks to go in. Disney Springs is free, but they're really cracking down on, because locals used to go and they would go to Disney Springs, take a boat to a resort, and then bus to the parks from there. I know during Easter they completely said that you weren't allowed to do it. Also, I mean, that's just
that's what I was going to say. The timing of it. If you do stay off property, I think the major disadvantage is time. So when you lose that Disney transportation, you're going to have to account for, what if your hotel is 30 minutes off property? So driving in 30 minutes, and then if you go in at a peak time, there might be some lines to get in, and then parking, which you pay for, and then trying to get to the parks from there. Time is money.
Absolutely.
When you're in Disney, especially, time is money. It's really easy to feel like you didn't get your value because you wasted a lot of time. And on Disney property, transportation is one of the most time-sucking things you can do.
Yes.
So
Disney World is massive.
It's humongous.
It's very big.
And so a lot of people just don't account for like how long it's going to take me to get from even park to park, not necessarily from off-site to on-site to park.
Right. Now, I would say something that has changed in the past 6 to 7 years at Disney World, since we've been going, is that used to people would stay at certain places for the convenience of location. Now,
I think I still do.
yes, but is it as important? I would argue no. For the dollars, dollars and cents. I mean, if you are staying at the Contemporary solely to just be close to Magic Kingdom,
There are other options.
there are other options. I mean, if that's the only reason you're staying there, I would tell you to stay at a moderate and take a minivan every time you go, because you're going to save a tremendous amount of money.
We're a big fan of minivans.
Right? Yeah, I love minivans. That's the only way to The reason I use Magic Kingdom is that's the only one you have to take. Even just I would recommend taking minivans everywhere. They are more expensive, but they're Disney cast members who drive them.
Yes.
There are a lot. No knock on. There are some very awesome professional transport companies that we use other than minivans to get to and from the airport, but I think it's a little more hit or miss.
We've
If you're
also
just
had some
ordering,
really not good experiences.
if you're just ordering a random Uber or Lyft on Disney property, it's hit or miss on what you're going to get. You may get someone who it's their third day on Disney property and they're just following the GPS, and sometimes it can be tricky. So be careful with that. But another
also
tangent.
staying on site, you do get on any of the properties on site, you get an early entry for 30 minutes early to each park every day, which is nice. It's a huge advantage to the people who did not stay on property.
And there are also extended evening hours if you're staying at a deluxe resort. And so there's certain nights where at the park, I believe 2 hours usually later that you can stay, where they'll verify your reservation and you can stay a little bit longer. So those are benefits to some deluxe resorts. The value resorts are great. I would argue that the values are more what you think of Disney intellectual property themed or over the top themed. They're really neat that way. Some people argue that the moderate deluxe resorts are becoming a little too sterile and boring. They're taking the theming away. I think there's still a lot of very nice things at them. But
there are. It's more subtle theming than as opposed to like just a giant statue of a dog outside.
Right.
Like,
or if your kid is just going to lose their mind from seeing Lightning McQueen outside their hotel room, art of animation, and that's considered.
However, the Poly has a really big Moana.
Right. Yeah.
So we're getting there.
Do a little research. Ask some friends. Ask a travel agent. Really nailing down your priorities. Our goal, I mean, for me, the resort is 40% of what I love about the trip.
Absolutely.
I love the parks. I love the rides. I love the history. I really enjoy the resorts. And so our goal is to stay at every resort on Disney property. We've done quite a few of them, not all of them.
Over half, probably.
Yeah, and I like each of them for a different reason and would choose I would never choose the same resort every single time just because I liked it. There's different things about different resorts. So choosing where to stay is very important and can make or break your trip.
Sure can.
And getting your expectations lined up for that place that you're staying are also important. And we'll have to do like a deep dive into each resort over time where we can kind of talk about little nuances. But yeah, I think when you're choosing your resort, kind of pick a theme that interests you, but also make sure it aligns with the goals of your trip.
Right. If you're going to stay, or if your main goal is just Epcot and going to the Food and Wine Festival, then maybe you need to be closer to Epcot.
Yeah, maybe don't stay at
yeah.
I mean, you can stay at Magic Kingdom. There's monorail resorts, but
there's that.
You're going to pay as much money as an Epcot area resort to be close. Right. Same thing if you got a little one and you're going to spend 3 of 7 days at Magic Kingdom, it might be worth it to stay at a monorail resort.
Or if you have a really little one who needs naps during the middle of the day, that easy access back to your resort, priceless. Yeah. So, I mean, it costs a lot of money, but it's priceless.
And a travel agent, a knowledgeable travel agent, will be able to help you kind of take those priorities and translate them into which resort would be best for the time you're going I mean, that's another thing. There are resorts that are decorated beautifully and have very unique things at, say, Christmas or the fall.
Or even Easter. The Easter eggs are fun.
Yeah, and so kind of trying to figure out what you want to do is just so kind of going back, choosing when to go, setting your budget, choosing when to stay.
Next is deciding your days. And by that, I mean when you're going to go to the parks, how many days you're going to go to the parks, the ferocity at which you're going to attack the parks. Are we going to do all days? Are we going to do half days? Because no two families do it the same way.
Right. And because you've chosen your budget and then chosen where to stay, that determines usually how many days you're going to be able to go. Because if you have a budget of X amount of dollars, you're probably going to be able to stay in a value resort 2 to 3 times as many days as a deluxe resort. If that's what you choose. And so then figuring out how to line that out.
Right. We always recommend a rest day. At least
always.
one, depending on how long your trip is. And then the order of parks is up to you and what your family likes. I personally like to start and end at Magic Kingdom.
And I
It's the castle.
would tell you, I think most people probably start at Magic Kingdom.
Monday is like one of the most popular days.
I mean, I would tell if it was your first time ever, that's probably what I'm going to tell you to do.
Yeah.
If you've seen it before, maybe don't, because most people's trips are going to start on a weekend day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's when most people go to the parks, and the most people go to the Magic Kingdom of those 4 parks. Epcot probably close second because of the other things, but if you're going there, so is everybody else on those days. If you can swing Magic Kingdom on a weekday, you might have a little bit lower crowds, a little bit easier time. Not always.
I'd say it's funny, you can actually see when people's stuff starts, because the 2 most popular days in Magic Kingdom are Saturday, so the first day if you arrive on a Friday night.
Yep.
And Monday, the first day if you arrive on a Sunday.
Yep.
Not saying the rest of the week is, easy peasy, but the highest crowds are those 2 days.
And so, but the main thing is a rest day. A rest day's, I thought people were so dumb whenever we first started about talking about rest days. I'm like, I'm flying to Florida, I'm spending all this money, I'm spending...
Again, time is money, right?
So much on this hotel, and they want me to take a day off in the middle? No, I'm going to do everything I can. But if you're spending all that money on a hotel, you might as well enjoy it. Some of the pools are fantastic. We have a little pool gremlin who I'm about to go on a trip with, and she'd forego 2 parks of the 4 just to go to the pool.
We swam at the boardwalk 3-4 times.
Yeah. So once it will be interestingly frustrating when you're so excited you've got your perfect vacation and how your kid is going to react planned out in your brain weeks before you get there, and then your kid 3 hours into the day at Magic Kingdom is begging to go back and swim in the pool. It will happen. It happens to everyone. But it's great. I mean, that's what you pay money for. You pay money for a nice resort.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Definitely.
Take a look at the things that...
And if you know your kids and that they love the pool, then maybe that will help you on number 3, choose where to stay. Pick maybe a higher category.
Sure.
Because while the pools at the value resorts are fun and colorful, the ones at the moderate and especially the deluxe ones have more to offer. So big slides, splash pads. Stormalong Bay has a lazy river.
Right. I mean, the pools are, and deluxe resort pools are not all the same. There are some that are better than others. I mean, we just did a trip to the yacht club. Stormalong Bay is amazing. The lava pool at the Polynesian's very, very nice. The Grand Floridian pool, very pretty, but not as theme heavy. But they had a really cool Alice in Wonderland splash pad that the kids loved. And just, again, it's deciding what's important to you.
Right.
But utilize the pool, utilize your resort on your rest day. That's a great day to try, make it easy on yourself. Try one of those restaurants that's at your resort that you want to sit down at. Or something we do, because typically on our longer trips we'll now plan 2 rest days. One of those is usually our Disney Springs day.
There's a lot of good places to eat.
Fantastic food. And so if you can go over there and have a nice meal, just do some, usually every group's got one shopper. in it. Walk around, kind of look at all the cool stores that they have, and biggest Disney store I think in the world, probably.
It's humongous. It's called World Disney.
It's humongous. They have everything you could ever think of.
You can get lost in there.
But they have other Disney themed stores and Disney art, all kinds of really neat things, as well as just favorite stores of people that you find at most of your malls. So,
Yep.
But how many days? I would recommend. I mean, so this being a beginner's guide for how many days. We'll kind of talk about it a little more towards the end, I guess. But
whatever you can do. But
however many you can do. Yeah, we'll talk about that towards the end.
And then we need to make our park plan. So that kind of goes hand in hand with deciding the order of the days, or deciding your days. But this can also include, like, are we park hoppers? Because some people are. People with little kids shouldn't be.
Some people are better than us. I mean, we watched one of our favorite podcasts that we watch, which the Zachman family, the Z-Rolls podcast. And in one of their episodes that I just watched, they went to 3 parks in one day. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I couldn't do it. I don't know if I'm too stressed out by going that many places or what, but they went to like 3 different parks. I was impressed.
Good for them.
Yeah. We planned park hoppers when we first started.
We get park hoppers with our annual pass, so that's always an option.
Right.
It's a nice flexibility to have. Now, if you do want to park hop one day out of your 9-day trip, you have to buy park hoppers for all 9 days.
Right.
So if you're gonna have them, plan to use them. There are ways that you can make that easier, like park hopping between Epcot and Hollywood Studios. There's the Skyliner, so that's nice. Magic Kingdom and Epcot has the monorail, so that's nice. Animal Kingdom has nothing except for the buses, so that's a little harder. So there are ways that you can make it better, but I would say if you have little kids, just take your time in the park.
Right.
Enjoy all the extra stuff. If you're just there for the rides, I get it. Park hopping might be your thing, but there's so much more to Walt Disney World than just the rides that you could easily spend an entire day or more in one park. We can, and we've been there a lot.
There's only one for a beginner, in my opinion. There's only really one circumstance that I can think of where I would recommend doing a park hopper, and it's if you only had 3 park days available to go. 3 or less days, because then you could split a day, say do a half day Animal Kingdom, halfway Hollywood Studios. You're saving money still because you're not buying a 4th day of park tickets, but you get to experience each park. To do park hoppers to get a specific meal is another option. That's tricky though, because in my opinion, to pay X dollars per day plus whatever a meal would cost, I would just tell you, hit that meal on your next trip. But
I would say the advantage I see to having a park hopper is the flexibility that it gives you. So say you're there for 4 days and you plan for 1 park each day, but you have park hoppers, so you have that flexibility. And the one day that you plan to go to Magic Kingdom, it pours down rain, and Happily Ever After is canceled. You have the option on another day to cut it short and go back to see the fireworks.
Yeah, that's a great point. I didn't think about that.
Yes. Now, will that happen? Rarely, but it could. So you have the flexibility, or if you just want to see it again, like, oh, that was my favorite nighttime show, and I have to go see it.
Yeah.
It's an advantage to having park hoppers.
Yeah.
So we don't hate them. We just don't use them that often.
Yeah, And I think a lot of that too is if you know that you're coming back, you're not so particular on. I guess this is a good thing, a good time to talk about this, is that a very important thing for a first timer's trip to Disney World, you're not going to do everything. We've been a ton of times and we haven't even come close to doing everything.
Right.
So if you just pick a few things that you know you want to do, and then the rest is just gravy. But I wouldn't. It will make you a disappointing, frustrating trip if you think you need to do everything, or you think you have to do everything, just because it's not possible.
No, you can't.
So
you really just can't do everything, and that's intentional. They want you to come back,
right?
Because it's a really cool place, and the next time you come back, if it's a year later or 2 years later, it's going to be a little different.
Right.
So It's good. It's always changing.
And when you're making your park plan, an important tip that we've learned now, most times if we're traveling, we are traveling with just our family, myself and Reilly and our 2 daughters. And so, but some people will go with their entire extended family, 20 people.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Sit down, have a meeting before, see what everyone wants to do, because otherwise it results in resentment and hurt feelings and possibly some arguments / fights because of the overstimulation of the place. A good tip for large groups that I've heard is go your own way, meet together for dinner. I think that's a great tip because to haul 20 people around a theme park is very, very difficult to do.
Grandma's tired and wants to go back to the room and rest while you guys go play, and then she'll meet you for dinner. Like, totally okay.
But spend some time with your group making sure that everyone gets to do at least one thing that they want to do. And that will influence your park plan, because you might find that everyone in your park everyone in your party has 3 things they want to do, and every one of those things is in Epcot Magic Kingdom.
Yep.
Maybe that's what you spend your time doing.
Well, and I promise you that there is something for everyone there. Even if you say, oh, I'm not a parks person. Oh, I'm not a Disney person. We took my parents one year.
Yeah.
And while my mom and the girls and Josh went to go on the behind the scenes tour to learn about plants because she loves the garden and she's really good at it, I took my dad scuba diving in Epcot. And so there was something for him and I to do, and then something for my mom to love and enjoy. We were in the same place, at the same location, the same time, 2 very different experiences, but unique to the people who are there. So plan your trip around the different personalities that are there, and it'll be even more magical.
And even if you keep an open mind, I could care less about gardening and plants. But I think, I think living with the land, I love the ride itself, and to be able to walk through some areas that you see from the boat was neat. So even though I wasn't picking up gardening tips, there were little things to enjoy.
So disappointed.
And my mother-in-law had a blast, and my girls learned a lot too. Yeah. They really enjoyed it. So it was a good experience all around.
Definitely. Okay, so you've planned your days. And now it's time to learn about those reservation windows.
Yes.
This is important.
Very. And it's way better than it used to be.
Yes.
So let's start there.
Also, this is where a travel agent can come in clutch, especially if you're on the Pacific Coast.
Yeah, this is...
Because those time differences, let me tell you.
Between this right here, there are a lot of people who are fully capable and have been to Disney World a ton of times that still hire a travel agent for this reason. Because they don't want to get up at 5, 4, 3 in the morning to book dining.
Yes.
And they also don't want to continually monitor. There's 2 reasons. One, book dining and extras, and continually monitor their trip for possible deals or discounts.
Yes.
Those are the 2 main benefits outside of experience and recommendations and an outside perspective that a travel agent can offer you.
Definitely.
Because a lot of people just don't want to do that. They don't want to get up early, and they don't know how the system works and things.
It's not the best time ever getting up at 5 a.m. It's 5 a.m. for us, 6 a.m. Eastern time for those dining reservations. And like I said, if you live in California, it's even earlier.
Yeah, so let's talk about them. I mean, you can typically book
dining.
Well, resort first. Oh. I mean, that's different reservation windows.
So we are in April 2026, and the first 9 months, 10 months, the first 10 months of 27 was just released like a week ago. So currently, right now, you can book through October 31st, 2027. So is that
about a year and a half in advance? Yeah, is when you can book.
Right. And they probably won't roll out those last 2 months for a bit.
And then the deals for those times, I would say, it's all over the place, but within 3 to 6 months before your trip window is typically when the discounts for your window will come up.
April now, they don't even have fall stuff out.
And so what we typically recommend is book your resort, and then if a deal comes up that works for your trip,
apply it.
Travel agent will apply it when it comes up.
Get the room and the resort you want early, because those do sell out.
They do.
Or like say you just wanted the cheapest room at this specific hotel, and you wait for those discounts to come out and the cheapest room is not available. you'll have to upgrade. And so you pay more, and you end up paying what you would have paid if you just,
Right. That brings up an interesting point. This is going not way off the rails, but it's a previous point that I would recommend to every single person, even if it meant delaying your trip, book a preferred room.
Yes.
Always. Because it's one of those things where Disney resorts are not your local Hilton. They're massive. And so,
especially some of them.
A preferred room is typically $50 a night, would you say?
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly. I would say $50 more a night.
It's
but
worth every penny.
It is worth every penny. When you have walked 8 miles a day, you don't want to walk an extra mile from the bus stop to your room.
Some of these resorts have internal bus loops, which means you don't go to the main lobby and get on the bus and go to the parks. You go to the nearest bus stop, which goes all around your resort to 3 or 4 or 5 more stops before it leaves and goes to the park.
Yeah.
And so that can show you how far away some of these are, how big some of these resorts are. You can add a lot of walking in if you don't do a preferred room.
And there are a million room types. There are room types out the nose. You can pick theme park view room, water view room, garden view room, standard room. Most of those, in my opinion, don't matter to me. The only times there are certain times when it does. But the one thing I would say is proximity to the main hub of transportation and food and drink station and is very important and will make your trip feel better.
Also keep in mind that if you are at a place like say around the boardwalk area, beach club, yacht club, and you choose a water view, that doesn't always mean the lake water view.
Right.
Sometimes that means the pool.
Yeah.
So you're running the risk of being near the kids' pool louder if that's not your jam.
Yeah, so just read the fine print because it can sometimes be misleading. And then sometimes you get some nice surprises too where you may have booked a preferred room and it ends up being a theme park room because it's only a partial theme park view or something funny like that. We've run into that before too. That's a whole tangent, but when you're deciding your budget and choosing where to stay, I would always recommend a preferred room.
Yes.
To someone who is looking to go.
So book your room early, and then your next reservation window to think about is dining.
Yeah.
And that is 60 days before the day you check in for your trip. So if your trip is 2 days long or 15 days long, I think you can do up to 10 actually, for your dining. You, on that 60-day mark, you can do your dining reservations for the first 10 days of your trip. I don't know how international works. We don't do that. Sometimes they stay for a month.
I would.
So, I'd love to learn that.
I would
if you're
too.
an international Disney goer, hit us up because we want to learn how that works.
Because that's a dream of ours too, is to eventually go to the international Disney parks. Wait until our children are a little bit older, but that's definitely on a bucket list for us.
Yes,
so.
But that's when you or your travel agent, preferably, gets up before the sun rises and books all of your dining for your whole trip, and then you've got that planned, and that's great. And after that, you will want to do, if you're doing lightning lanes, 7 days before check-in, you can reserve lightning lanes for your entire trip. So this is where you need to learn about lightning lanes, how they work, and the earlier you are in your trip, the harder it is to get a lightning lane that you want. When you get further on down your trip, you're like, oh, I get the very first lightning lane of the day. They're stacked real close together, and it feels like you're a champ. It's because you're competing against no one.
I feel like I'm trying to think of which ones we all consistently have trouble lighting lanes. Slinky Dog Dash, always a problem with lighting lanes. I don't know what the deal is. That's a hard one to get.
Well, and also we go to Hollywood Studios first a lot.
Oh, that's true, yeah. And there are just certain rides that are harder to get lightning lanes for.
Yeah.
Again, so that's an extra lightning lane we kind of skimmed over for the budget. If it's possible for you, again, it kind of just comes back to time is money in Disney World. If you can afford to do lightning lanes. Now, some people will tell you it's not worth it in certain parks. I would argue that it's worth it in every park because I don't want to wait in line. Nobody wants to wait in line, but when I'm there are things I talk about how much I love the resort, where if I'm like, I want to enjoy the park, like seeing all of the amazing things that the park has to offer, or I want to get through the rides that we've done and maybe go back to the resort and have some resort time that then was kind of eaten up by being in line if we're doing it. It's just, it's one of those things to me where do I want to spend the dollars on a souvenir, or do I want to spend the dollars on not waiting in line? For me personally, I'm going to choose to not wait in line.
Yeah.
I get it that it's not a trivial cost, and that it used to be free. Because it did. It used to be something that Disney didn't charge for. But it's one of those you adapt with the times, and now they do. And if for us, it's a priority to do lightning lanes. So that's something that we book 7 days out.
It is, for sure. That's actually number 8. But before that was number 7.
Oh, yeah, sorry, jump right
No, it's
over
okay.
it, but
Number 7 is dining basics. So once we are aware of our 60-day window, just understanding a little bit about the dining. If you have the dining plan, you'll need to know this a whole lot more than if you don't have the dining plan, because if you do have the dining plan, you're going to have to do dining math.
Yeah.
For all your credits.
It's pretty easy.
Oh, yeah, it is. But there are table service restaurants, which is what you would think of as a normal, you have a waiter or waitress sit-down restaurant. And then there are quick service restaurants, which is kind of like Steak and Shake, where you walk up to the counter. Well, I guess you do sit down at Steak and Shake. Maybe, like, I don't know if you have Freddy's. What's one?
Like at McDonald's, if you go
like
sit
a
inside.
Subway.
Yeah, like if you just go and order at the counter and go sit down.
Yeah, it's like fast food, but you go get it, and then you're carrying your little tray.
Yeah.
So that's quick service, and then there's snacks and stuff that you get on the dining plan, which are at the carts, little snack carts that you see all the Epcot food festivals, food
Kiosks.
That's it.
Yeah.
All the Epcot food kiosks during the festivals. And then there's also character meals. So all the character meals are at sit-down restaurants at the table service dining.
Correct.
But they are a little bit elevated in price because you're also getting the character experience personally in addition to your food.
And there are also, this is where it gets complicated, there are also signature dining restaurants.
Yeah.
That are
fancy food.
Which, I mean, just a very
good food.
Fine dining is kind of what they consider Disney fine dining. And there are some fantastic restaurants.
They really are.
But typically, if you're doing the dining plan, they're going to cost you 2 table service credits to do that. Now, a table service credit is you get an appetizer, entree, and a dessert, I believe. And I think
it's
you
a
get
lot of food.
And you might. If you drink, I think adults get 1 alcoholic beverage.
I think so.
I think that's right.
I don't know.
And the kids can get the specialty beverage, things like that. But again, we go back to there are countless videos that not ours, but other people have done where they do the math on. Here's
We'll do that sometime soon.
Here's my trip. Here's what I spent. Here's what the dining plan would have cost me. Almost always the dining plan is more expensive than what they paid out of
Unless
pocket.
you're getting the most expensive thing on every menu, like steak and...
You have to be very intentional about beating the dining plan.
Are you going to save money? Probably not. However, it's already paid for, minus the gratuity, like we said earlier. And so that peace of mind sometimes just is nice.
Sure.
It's nice to have. You've already paid for it. You don't have a big bill that you have to sign on at the end of the day.
A common question that comes across a lot is every person on your reservation has to have it. Has to have the dining plan.
Yep.
You can't say, oh, I want dad and teenage brother to have it because they eat 19 pounds of food every time they go somewhere, and then the kiddos don't. If anyone on the reservation has it, the entirety of the reservation has it. So,
and if your kids have the dining plan, they have to eat off the kids' menu because they charge them less. And that's actually anyone under the age of 10. So 9 and under is a kid. Yep. 10 and above is adult menu, which is...
And they can order, this is something that we've learned because we have a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
That if a 10-year-old is on gets the adult menu, they can order things off the kids menu. They just charge the same amount as the adult. They just bring an adult sized portion of the kids' food.
Right.
Which our 10-year-old doesn't even eat a quarter of it. Their portion sizes are very, very big at Disney.
Yeah, you won't be hungry at Disney, so that's good.
So there's a lot of little nuances there. Knowing what I know, I would probably say don't do the dining plan. I don't know.
Unless you're during one of those times where it's like free dining. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And I say that in quotes because they're charging you. You're not getting the discount on the resorts.
Right.
So do the math and figure out if it's best for your family. However, they're doing a promo right now for this summer where it's kids eat free. And so for every adult full dining meal that you have kids get the dining plan.
Right.
Most of the time that will actually save you money. Most of the time that actually the math does work.
Yeah.
The first time we did it was free dining just in general,
That's
right?
Yeah.
Which I don't think they do anymore. That was 2019.
And it was adults and kids were free dining.
Yeah, and so we obviously did it because if we're paying for the poly, we got the free Disney Deluxe dining plan.
Right.
It was a lot of food. We ended up with a whole bunch of snack credits left that we
just kind of buy a bunch of stuff and go in the suitcase. Yeah.
But in those instances, obviously do that.
Right.
But if you're opting to pay for it yourself, you just have to decide what's your priority. To have it prepaid and peace of mind, you know what, it's done, I've already paid for it. If you, however, another solution to that is if you like to already have it prepaid, you can go ahead and set your dining budget on gift cards.
Yeah.
Because every single restaurant will take Disney gift cards.
Yep.
And so if you just take your time ahead of time and go every once in a while and use your Target Red card and buy those at 5% off, you save a few dollars there too.
Yep.
And then you can have your dining budget on gift cards.
Yep. And then you get the best of both worlds. It's prepaid and
you can pay your gratuity with that too.
you can. Yep.
So hey, there you go.
So,
little tip.
But yeah, booking your dining. We talked a little bit about this in our last when to go. But the longer your trip, the better chance you have of getting those harder to book dining reservations.
Right.
Say the Cinderella's Royal Tables, the Space 220s, the things like that.
Right.
So if you have a shorter trip, it's possible you might not be able to get the reservation you want.
Depending on when you're there, if it's a busy time, like if you're there on spring break on a short trip, sorry about your luck.
Right.
You're gonna have a hard time.
Right.
Miracles do happen for sure, but you might have a harder time getting exactly what you want and the times that you like to eat. We make a lot of concessions on the time.
I think I would recommend that to a lot of people. If you have sometimes with younger kids, you don't have the flexibility of doing that because kids have their set schedules. And another idea for planning is do your very best to maintain your kid's schedule as much as possible because Disney is very overstimulating. But that includes meals, that includes naps, that includes those things, and it's a lot on kiddos. And so if you can keep their schedule as much as possible, it makes it a little easier for everyone. But if you have flexibility on your dining times, go at off times. Typically, the restaurants aren't as busy. It's a little calmer atmosphere. It's easier to get reservations if you're willing to eat dinner at 3 instead of dinner at 5.
Just plan for snacks later.
Yeah, so a lot of times we'll eat snacks in the room and have a really early lunch, or we'll eat a really late breakfast and not eat lunch and then eat an earlier dinner. And we'll just kind of manipulate the times a little bit for what work for us.
Definitely, that's a good tip.
Yeah.
So then we did talk about the lightning lanes already, but just what you should remember is that you can pay to reduce your time. Like we've talked about several times already, your time is valuable. Our time is valuable.
Sure.
And we want to make the most out of our time, not by squishing more in, but by having the flexibility to, if we want to go back and swim, like, oh, well, we've already done what we said we wanted to do at the beginning of the day. Or, we knock out our favorite things and then we have the flexibility to go see a show we haven't seen in 2 years, or go try a new snack, or just people watch. That's fun too. Or play cards on the lawn in front of the castle.
Yeah.
Just, have a little fun.
I mean, and something that I enjoy personally is the detail of Disney parks. Just walking around and enjoying what the Imagineers put into these places. And if you're just constantly rushing to get from one long line of a ride to the next long line of a ride, you'll miss a lot. And so it just opens up your day a little bit more, I think.
If you didn't know this, there are these things called hidden Mickeys in all the parks and the resorts too. Our kids love to look for them, but those are the little details that you'll miss because they are actually hidden. Like some of them are pretty obvious, but there are thousands of them in the rides, in the lines, in the pavement places, like in just all kinds of places. So it's like a fun little scavenger hunt who can find the most for the day. And if you're just rushing from place to place to place to place to place, doing all the rides you could possibly do because we have to get it all done, you'll miss things like that.
Well, and if you, I mean, I guess it's funny to say this, but lightning lanes, if you're reducing the time in line, it gives you more time for spontaneity and for making the U-turn in the hard right into a showcase pavilion to look in the shops because you don't have time otherwise, or oh, hey, look, there's a character that we don't see very often and my kids really want to meet him. It's easy when we have done this early on to be like, no, we got to get to this ride, come on.
Yep.
Sorry, you know,
we can't listen to the piano player at Casey's, we gotta go.
We got stuff to do. It lets you, now it's not a cure-all, but it gives you more time for little things like that.
Definitely.
Which is worth every penny.
It's absolutely how we get the most done at our leisurely pace.
Right.
Like, we just don't stress anymore. We don't stress about it. We're not running to different lines. We know how to get around the parks. We know trends of what people do, which direction they go when they go in the park. We know how to work around that, and we use the lightning lanes to our advantage.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not perfect.
No.
We went on our very last trip, our first day in Hollywood Studios. We were in line for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. It went down. We went to get in line for Rise of the Resistance. Got evac out of the line.
Yeah.
Out of the ride, and then we got on one other thing and.
Yeah, was it Midway Mania?
Midway Mania, and
that's not what it's called. Toy Story
Midway Mania, and then something else happened. Weird. We were 0 for 3 on trying to ride rides.
By like 11 a.m.
By 11 a.m. And we just said, you know what? Let's go get some ice cream. Let's sit here by this fountain and watch Chippendale play in the flowers, and it was a great day.
A nice little reset.
And now it's hard if it's your first time ever and you really want to do this ride and it goes down. I would just say, just keep an open mind, keep an eye out. I've very rarely in my time at Disney, besides brand new, spanking new rides, seen a ride closed for the entire day because of a technical difficulty. So if you keep it flexible, then you'll usually catch it.
There are rides that break down more often than others.
Right.
But I agree, there's not really one that I remember closing for.
And that's another, that kind of falls right in line with lightning lanes too. So on each of those rides, so we got evac'd out of Rise of the Resistance, and this happens regularly. If you go enough, you see this happen because you'll get a ride will go down. They will give you a lightning lane pass to use at any time throughout the rest of the day.
For a majority of the rides.
Now Rise of the Resistance is an individual lightning lane.
Well, that one I think you can use on the other ones too, but you can't go.
But you can't, like, say
you can go backwards, not.
Yeah, you're not going to get a multi-pass lightning lane pass for a single pass. It'll make sense whenever you do it, but it's but having that lightning lane is better than say, oh no, I waited 3 hours and maybe you get one. You know, they'll still give you a lightning lane pass if you've been in the line, but. You're just, again, you're maximizing time, time spent outside of a line.
Yep. The last thing we need to talk about in planning is transportation. Because it, like we talked about before, can be the biggest detriment to your day if you don't know how to work it.
Right. But I would also say enjoy it. I love the transportation at Disney World. It's so nice.
I think once you learn how it works, you don't have to stress about how it works.
Yeah.
So, depending on where you're staying, you should learn what my transportation options are to the different parks. Do I have access to the Skyliner? Can I get to Hollywood Studios and Epcot from there? Am I close enough that I can walk to some parks, if I so choose? The morning time, you're going to want to walk. Maybe not in the evening.
Right.
Am I at one of the resorts that has a ferry boat? To any specific, there's some that go to Magic Kingdom, there's some that go to Epcot, there's some that go to Hollywood Studios, but not all the same. Like the boats go to either the Magic Kingdom or Epcot and Hollywood Studios. There's not one boat that goes to all of them. Do I have a boat that goes to Disney Springs? Because there's 2 resorts that have that. Am I bus transportation only? Or hey, am I on the monorail? The coolest of them all. So based on where you're staying, you need to know that. So that's the first step. And then how do I get from park to park? That's the second step. If you are park hopping and you want to go from Hollywood Studios to Epcot, you have a couple options. You can take a boat, you can take a bus, or you can take the Skyliner. Or a minivan, I guess, if you're wanting to do that too. But there are free options, so you don't need to do that.
But it's very important when you're planning your trip to even to the point where you decide before, like, this is our Tuesday, this is our Hollywood Studios day. Therefore, we are going to get on the Skyliner. We're going to walk to the Skyliner hub here and get on the Skyliner. Or we're going to take the bus. It's important to know these things.
Yes.
Because you don't want to try to figure it out day of, because then you're losing time.
No. And also, in transportation, plan at least 20 minutes more than you think you need.
Yeah. Sure.
Because there are times where you get to the bus station and there are enough people to fill a bus or two before you get to get on.
Right.
And so you're going to wait that extra 10 or 15 minutes for the next bus to come. Same with the monorail. It fills up too. The Skyliner, I mean, you have probably 6 people maybe can fit in those, maybe 8 if they're really stuffing you full. But they normally just do one family at a time. And so, it's constantly going, but sometimes they slow down for wheelchairs to get on or people with strollers who are having issues. And so it can take longer, especially if you're stuck out there hanging for a while.
And I mean, we talk about, again, it's a dollars for time kind of thing, a cheat code, minivans. I love minivans.
Yes.
I would rather forego a souvenir 99 times out of 100 and just get a minivan instead of a souvenir, just because it makes life so much easier. Now, I would say in our experience, most times you're going to pay $30 to $50
Yep.
to
per
take
ride.
a minivan from point A to point B in Disney World per ride. $30 to $50.
They do offer minivans also from the airport, but
They
those are
do.
like $250.
And not saying it's not worth it, but again, we use MCO to Disney for a lot of our trips from the airport. They're fantastic and a little more reasonably priced than minivans. So I would recommend that. But minivans, it's one of those, it's like a cheat code. I would say if it is an expense, most people are I would say it'd be foolish to take a minivan every single time you went somewhere. It's just
You
not
don't need
necessary. But if you are in a pinch and say somebody took 20 minutes longer than they needed to get ready for dinner and you got to get somewhere and you don't have time, get a minivan. Now, there have been times when we have been there, busy times, spring break, fall break. I would argue Christmas is probably similar too. There are not unlimited minivans.
No, there's only like 200, I think, is what they said.
I don't
If
remember
even that.
exactly, but we have timed out waiting for a minivan before. Whether it be in the morning trying to get to a park or
After the fireworks.
after the fireworks,
That's a big one.
where there just weren't enough. And so that can happen too.
Yes.
So it's not foolproof, but a little bit. If you're in a pinch and you got to get somewhere fast, or you don't have it in you to get on the bus one more time, it's a pretty handy thing. There are regular, like we talked about before, there are regular Uber and Lyft drivers.
They don't get the same privileges, though. They have to go to the Transportation and Ticket Center and not directly to Magic
Correct.
Kingdom. They get stopped and questioned when they go into the resorts. So, like if you had dinner at Chef Mickey's or something and wanted to drive over there, you might have a harder time getting in. You might have to show them your reservation, whereas opposed to minivan,
They're just going right
they're
now.
cast members, so they know they're good.
Yeah. But it's it's not always a problem. It's just minivans are a little bit easier. And also, if you have little ones who need a car seat, minivans always have car seats. They got 2.
Clean car seats.
Clean car
I
seats.
bet.
And so one less thing to worry about. Because when that's not a given for Uber and Lyft. And we did have some drivers pull up and then we couldn't take their vehicle because they couldn't have our daughter in there without a car seat. So
Right.
minivans kind of fix that problem too.
Yeah.
But something that's important transportation wise as the primary stroller pusher of our relationship, we pushed a double stroller for a long time.
Yeah.
Now we do a single. Double strollers you can push onto the monorail.
Yep.
You can push onto the larger boats
And
without
Skyliner.
folding up. No, not the Skyliner.
Oh, not the double,
On
sorry.
the Skyliner, you can push a single on
Yeah.
to the Skyliner. From, I would argue, most singles, not a double. You have to fold the double up. Folding up a stroller on Disney transportation is not fun at all.
Especially because you have stuff underneath, you've got the popcorn buckets,
Yes.
you've got things hanging from it.
And usually if you're folding it up, there are other people who are pushed up against you with that stroller. And so it's very difficult to do. So if I was pushing a double stroller, I'm going to try and be intentional about the types of transportation that I'm taking to and from where I'm trying to go.
That's a good point.
And if you're taking Uber minivans, they have room in the trunk for those double strollers. If you're getting an Uber or Lyft, get a plus size one. I think extra comfort is what they call it, or an SUV. That way they make sure you have room for the stroller, because some of them do not. Yeah.
So while these 9 steps seem fairly easy, they also seem kind of in-depth and maybe overwhelming. So don't panic. You've got some time. Get yourself a travel agent, because that'll really help. They get to take all the stress away. But some things to avoid in planning your trip is, first, the biggest one I say is don't overplan it.
Right.
It's so easy. I've seen the most beautiful spreadsheets of the people who want to say, from this time to this time we're going to ride this ride, and then we're going to get this snack, and then we're going to go here and here and here and here. And man, I love people who plan like that. However, that's not realistic. Things take so much more time than you think they will in Disney World. Something will go wrong. The weather will happen. A parade will get canceled. There'll be a ride will break down, or there won't be any lightning lanes available, or it's just, there's so many things. Plan. Do a really good job planning. Have a solid idea of where you want to go, or maybe the path you want to take, but also be prepared to throw it all out the window, because Disney's going to throw you for a loop. At some point in your trip, something is going to go wrong. And if you're not prepared to say, you know what, we're just going to roll with it today. We're just going to watch Chip and Dale and the Flowers and eat our ice cream at 10:30 in the morning. Because it's not going the way that my Excel sheet says it's supposed to go today.
And we get it. I mean, a lot of the fun of a Disney trip is the anticipation and the planning. That's fun for me. That's fun for a lot of people. But the key is not allowing that planning to lead to a domino effect of disappointment and frustration that ruins the trip you look so much forward to.
Right. Feeling like you wasted a bunch of money because it didn't go the way that you planned it, or the way that somebody else says it should go. Not any trip that we've ever taken in our own family has been the same. And so to say that our trip should be like your trip and your trip should be like our trip is just bananas.
And again, going back to, we can talk about our next point, which is don't plan too many dining reservations.
No. We do plan a lot of dining reservations. If you watch us on our vlogs, we do at least one a day. Sometimes we do 2 when we're feeling...
Yeah, because it's a priority for us. So the dining is one of our favorite things to do.
But you definitely don't need 3.
I wouldn't. I mean, if you were sitting down at a table service restaurant for 3 meals, you are spending most of your day in a restaurant.
Right.
Not to mention, we talked about, for most people, and I'm a big guy and a big eater, to eat 3 of those meals in one day and then to go out into the Florida sun, you will be miserable.
I know you walk a lot, but you don't walk that much.
Yeah, so it's just, I would strongly, if you're a 3 square meals, I'd tell you sit down for 2 and do a snack in the middle or something like that. There's not very many use cases, I would say, book 3 table service restaurants.
I don't think there's ever any.
I can't imagine. 2 is a lot. 2 is a lot. We've kind of in our current kind of stage of planning, we'll usually do 1. We'll have 1 quick service meal where we try or get something that we like and maybe a snack, and then we'll sit down for dinner, usually dinner or breakfast. It's not often lunch. Either starting the day in one way or ending the day. But don't book too many. There's so many great choices at Disney World to choose from, but again, it's one of those you can't do them all kind of thing. And kind of what Reilly was saying, which is don't let people tell you have to do this. There's no restaurant, and I love restaurants, and I definitely have my own favorites. I will never tell you, you have to eat here to have a good trip.
Correct.
There is no restaurant that you have to eat at to have a good trip.
You also might not like our favorites.
Of
There
course.
are people who rave about certain restaurants, and both of us are just like, we don't agree.
Right. There are restaurants our kids love that we don't particularly care for, but we
But we
go
go for
to
them.
anyways. Now, with that being said, I don't know that I've ever had a bad meal at Disney
No.
World. But at the same time, there are definitely restaurants I prefer over others. But that may not be the restaurant for you. Like
Right.
I'm a pretty adventurous eater. I'm more interested in trying something new than I am trying something I know I'll like. Whereas some people are like, no, I want to know that I'm going to like the food that I'm going to get. And so that picking the right restaurant for your party and
Yeah.
your party's priorities, and not having the overhanging expectation of a family member or a neighbor who said you have to eat here or you haven't gone to Disney World. That's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
So.
If you ever want us to do a video on some of our favorite restaurants,
Yeah.
let us know in the comments, because I think I'd love to do that.
I think there's not many, at least now, not many table service restaurants we haven't eaten at.
No, we've done all the character meals.
Right.
Yeah. And
Disney
I-
Springs is kind of the main holdout. We've eaten at a few restaurants in Disney Springs, but not close to all of them.
Right.
So,
And then we haven't made to all the resort restaurants.
right.
Well, we've done a majority.
But we're working on it. So,
Another thing not to do is to not plan breaks. Meaning, if you know your family's only a half day kind of thing, or like we said earlier, rest days, we need them.
yeah.
We need them for the sanity of just the day, liking each other, not getting overstimulated, and also the physical rest. It's a lot to walk around the parks all the time.
Well, and if you're like most of the country going to Disney World, you're going to have a time change. And it's most times not in your favor, especially if you're not a morning person, because it's an early day. I mean, if you're going to get to the parks when they open, you're getting out of bed at, for us, Central Time change, our 5:30 a.m. to go to a theme park. And so...
Which is fun the first day.
Yeah, but after
on
you've
day
done
4.
it 5 days in a row, nobody wants to get up that early. So, not to mention, it's really easy to say, yeah, we're going to get up early and we're going to stay there till it's late and do all the fun stuff until you remember, oh, that I still have to get up early again tomorrow because we booked a dining reservation at such and such.
Yeah.
So, breaks are important.
Yep.
Rest days preferably, but even within your park day, give yourself a minute in the air conditioning.
Yes,
Yeah.
air conditioning. Don't ignore the weather either. The air conditioning is a big thing. I know everybody says, hey, Florida's hot, but like Florida can get really stinking hot. And to the point where it's almost like the sun is trying to bake you itself.
Right.
Not just the air around you. It's like the direct UV sunlight. Sometimes I feel like I'm under a magnifying glass. Like, are you trying to make me
Yeah.
burn? And it can happen fast.
Yeah.
Getting, heat exhaustion or overwhelmed or feeling a little lightheaded. Pay attention and don't try to tough it out, because that's how you end up in the Disney hospital.
Right. Pay attention to your body. Drink a lot of water. Again, in a theme park, it's easy to say, I'm going to grab a soda,
Yeah.
grab a Coke. It's
Drink water first.
drink some water first, because and the restaurants, Disney's smart. Most times, even without asking, they're going to bring you a water. Almost
will.
almost always when you sit down for a meal, you're going to get a water. So much so that I'm like, okay, how many more cups can we fit on this table? But everybody has a cup of water, and everybody has another drink if you wanted another
They
drink.
don't
It's not
want you
water.
to get sick.
No. And so just staying hydrated.
You can also get free water at any quick service location, and any cart that serves drinks. You can get a free glass of water.
That's right.
You don't have to buy a water bottle. You can,
Right.
and it's easier, obviously sometimes. But if you just need a little bit of water, you just go into Pinocchio's and say, "I'm dying of thirst," and they'll give you some water.
Right.
Also, don't underestimate the amount of walking that you're going to do. I know we've talked about it, but like, it's for real. Don't spend your first day in new shoes.
Yeah, sure.
Don't account for the idea that you're going to have perfect weather every time. It might rain on you, and you might need a new pair of shoes for the second day because your first one is in the hotel room drying out. You're going to do a lot of walking. A lot of walking. And the kind of walking you're really not used to. On pavement, uphill, downhill, all around the places, upstairs, downstairs. You might get a blister, so keep those little blister pads because they are lifesavers. You're going to do a lot of walking.
And if you've got, we went through the phase where you've got that 2-year-old, 3-year-old who can walk and doesn't want to be in the stroller all day. They want to walk some.
Less, yeah.
That's tough. It's going to slow you down, one. But two, there's a lot of places in Disney World where I wouldn't feel comfortable with my 2 or 3-year-old just walking alone. There's just too many people. And so then you get to carry that child around and it's hot and you're walking and it can get to be a bit much.
Yes.
So again, back to rest.
Yeah.
So
also know your kids because, Arya's just now 10 and we had a stroller until she was 8.
Yeah.
Is that when we kicked
7
her out?
or 8, I think.
When she was 8 or 9. Big kids need strollers too sometimes. And I know they might say, oh, I don't need that, but they're gonna want it.
Yeah.
They're gonna want it. My last tip to avoid making a mistake for your first time is don't try to do everything.
Yeah.
We've said it before, but you're not gonna do everything, so don't try. Just make a list of the things you absolutely want to do, and then maybe a few bonus items.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you get to do more than that, you win.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And we'll do, we've got ideas for future episodes, but one will be, in my opinion, where I say you don't have to eat at a restaurant to say, hey, I went to Disney World. There are some attractions where I would say, you have to do this. It's like one of those things where I'm like, even if it means you wait a long time, you really, really ought to because that's one of the main draws of what you're doing. But you don't have to do everything. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, if I told you really should do that, if you miss it, it's not the end of the world.
Nope.
And so you can't do everything. Pick, depending on your party size. I think for us, we're usually pretty good. We'll usually say, what are 3 things you want to do today? Mm-hmm. We'll ask the girls and I'll ask Reilly and we'll just do it while we're sitting eating breakfast in the morning. Usually all of us have 1 or 2 things that are similar. We usually end up with a list of 5, 6 things that we want to do for the day.
Yep.
And that's what we do. And then if we
make those our priorities.
Yeah, and we kind of look at timing and like, okay, do we have time to get this done and still do this? Mm-hmm. And honestly, it's by the end of the day, no one's keeping track, being like, oh, I didn't get to do my 3 things.
Yeah, that's not true. Isla does that.
Yeah, well, I guess that's true. Somewhat of ourselves. But it shows that you're respecting the people you're with. Now, if you got 20 people with you, maybe each person gets to pick one thing,
Yeah. And that'd be a stretch.
But making the effort, go to dinner with everyone or have everyone over to your house the night before you have to book things and kind of figure out what you want to do. Because it's a lot on the one person, which is probably the person watching this video, to plan a vacation like that.
It is.
Because you're never going to please everyone. And then when you get there, you're also dealing with the frustrations of weather and overstimulation and people and crowds and things going wrong, even if you planned everything down to the T. So,
definitely. So if you were planning a trip for a very beginner, what would you recommend? The best strategy for your first trip? How long should we go? Maybe even where you would stay.
Okay. I can do that. I think it depends on the travel party.
It does.
So I'm just going to assume kids our age, maybe a little bit younger, even 2 or 3 kids, 2 adults. That's in my brain. Our kids, and I would say most kids younger than ours, are going to want to spend
our children.
Time in Magic Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's their favorite. They enjoy all of the parks, and they have things that they really like. That's their favorite. That's also the kind of the hallmark of a Disney trip.
Yeah.
I would say, for me, go for a week for your first trip. I would say hit every park once, hit Magic Kingdom twice. That's what I would recommend with a rest day in between.
Yeah.
So you've got your travel day on the front end. I guess I don't have enough days, do I?
If you do 7.
If you do 7, do I have enough for? I guess if your travel day home.
If your travel day is Sunday and Sunday.
Right.
Then you could do 3 park days, a rest day, 2 park days, and then go home.
I think that's great because Magic Kingdom has the highest concentration of rides, I believe.
It does.
I would say, and so there are going to be things likely in one day you won't get done, especially if you're making a point to watch the parade and watch the fireworks.
Which you need to do, because those are awesome.
Yeah, and so I would say, if in a perfect situation, I'd tell you to stay at a monorail resort. Because you're going to Magic Kingdom twice, so that cuts out some travel cost. Now, those are the most expensive resorts on Disney property.
Yep.
And so a nice alternative would be to stay at Wilderness Lodge. It's typically a little bit cheaper, and there's boat access to the Magic Kingdom. But something with easy access to the Magic Kingdom, monorail preferably, because you're doing those 2 days, and you can have pretty quick. If you're staying at a monorail resort, you can also take the monorails to Epcot. And I mean, you take the bus to Animal Kingdom. You can splurge for your minivan on your Hollywood Studios day.
Yeah.
Where, for me, of the transportation, the one that I've tried to avoid most is the bus. Just because it's crowded. I don't love being with that many people, and usually we have a stroller which is jammed into my legs against someone else. And so if I can avoid the bus, I try to plan our trips around that. So yeah, I would say find the monorail resort you like best. Give yourself a rest day in the middle to enjoy the pool. And check out your resort, because all of those resorts have a lot of history and are very, very cool. And 2 Magic Kingdom days, 1 day at all the other parks. Right now in 2026, there's a lot of construction in both Animal Kingdom and Hollywood Studios. If you're doing a park day in each of those, arguably you could be done early that day, or start late and have a later day where you get to sleep in a little bit. Epcot is going to be a full day, and you're going to not do everything. Magic Kingdom is going to be a full day, and you're not going to do everything. But you got a second day there. So, yeah, I think that's a great beginner trip.
I think so too.
Gives you a taste of everything that's there, but also gives you the chance to double back on Magic Kingdom and catch some things that you loved, and you want to ride again, or that you might have missed. So I think that's where I'd land. What about you?
I mean, I'm very similar. I think back to our first trip. Now, Isla was 6 weeks old, so not super recommended, although it wasn't actually that bad, because babies just sleep all the time.
Yeah, she sleep.
And then Arya was 4. I think we stayed 9 nights, so it was longer. But we planned a long, long time for that. We stayed at the Polynesian, because I knew our children might need naps. However, they actually just slept in the stroller.
They did.
Which was nice.
I think I might be wrong. I think I only remember going back twice to the hotel room. Yeah, to take the baby back.
Yeah. But we stayed an extra long time. I think we had 2 rest days. Maybe we just had 1 because we were crazy back then. But on the monorail, especially with little children. And I say that, I like the monorail now. We have not tiny children.
Right.
For the convenience factor of it. But if I was going to go different, if I had to go not a monorail resort, I might suggest if you're concerned about the budget, don't need to stay on a monorail resort, maybe a Skyliner resort.
Yeah. So the Skyliner is fantastic.
Yeah. Now, my favorite one would be the Riviera, which is not budget friendly. But, we're fancy like that. And then also the ones around the Boardwalk Beach Club, Yacht Club, they have access to the Skyliner too. So
not a far walk at all.
Not at all. Especially if you like to spend time in Hollywood Studios and or Epcot. Those are nice and close. So I don't know. I actually might change my mind. I was going to say a moderate resort, but I actually might change my mind to the Yacht Club. Because you have access to both of those resorts and the Skyliner, and it's close so that you can go back early. Yeah, I might say that.
And you're right next to World Showcase, so you have that option now if you don't have Park Hopper. I mean, you have a lot of dinner options there, but...
You do have a lot of dinner options. I don't know. My first pick would obviously be around Magic Kingdom, because I just love Magic Kingdom, and I totally agree you need to spend more than 1 day there. But if you only
for your first time.
Yes.
And then something we didn't really talk about is if you go at a certain, something that we did which we had in our first long trip. This one made me think of it. Was we had one full rest day, but then one of our rest days was we didn't do anything until 4 o'clock and went to the Halloween party.
Yep.
Which is another great option. You could even replace your Magic Kingdom day. I would actually recommend that for that 7-day trip. Replace one of your Magic Kingdom days by not doing anything, hanging out at the resort all day till 4. Maybe go to Disney Springs in the morning if you want to do something.
Or just the pool.
Or just the pool, sleep in, and then go to the party at 4 o'clock. And then you bought a ticket for the party. You're getting into Magic Kingdom special event. You didn't buy an extra park ticket. That's something that a lot of people try to do. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to do my Animal Kingdom day and then go to the Halloween party.
That's an expensive day.
That's an expensive day, and that is a long
You're paying a
day.
full price ticket for the park that you go
Right.
to, so Animal Kingdom, and then a full price ticket for the party that you go to, which can normally be like $179 to $199 per person.
Yeah, I mean, unless
In
you're
addition.
the only time I'd say do that is if you're on a shorter trip and it's like 2 adults going and you got like all the energy in the world and
Lots
you
of
handle
monsters.
it. Because it's like, man, to do a park day somewhere else and then go to a party and after
You'll be
hours,
tired.
it'd be a lot.
You can do it, but you'll be tired.
Yeah.
Don't do that on day 9.
But again, I mean, figure out your priorities, figure out your budget,
Yeah.
time to go, and then just kind of go down that checklist that we talked through of figuring out what works. And if something doesn't work, take a step back and see. Like sometimes we'll set our budget, we'll choose where we want to stay, and then we'll say, oh, we want to stay 8 days. And they're like, oh, no, that's ridiculously overpriced. Like, do we want to stay less days? Or do we want to change where we stay? Usually we will change where we stay. It's more, for us, it's more important the time that we want to be there is there. And you can make variations, and then as deals come out, you may want to change it too.
Right. But don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
Because that's what travel agents are there for.
Mm-hmm.
And they can make all of this seem like a piece of cake.
Right. And at the very least, let them be frustrated dealing with changing things around rather than you. Because after all, it's your vacation.
Absolutely.
You want your vacation to be as peaceful and as enjoyable as possible.
An actual vacation.
So if you can get people to help you, if you can get good recommendations, it's definitely worth it.
Definitely.
But if you have any tips besides the ones that we've talked about that can be helpful to kind of the people who come across this video, the community, kind of just put in the comments, talk about your favorite planning tips or tricks that you've learned in planning your trips, or even any questions that you might have. Look forward to talking with you guys in the comments.
Yeah. So we hope this helps you plan your next magical vacation. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. If we can't answer them, somebody in our community might. But we'd also love to help you plan your trip. So just click the links below and you can find out how to do that. Until next time, we hope you enjoyed the view from our window.
You're welcome.
See ya.
What were you thinking?
Thank you.
before?